Hi, my name is Paul Schurch and welcome to my shop. Hi, my name is Paul Schurch and welcome to my shop. This hand skills online class is called Making a Jewelry Box, or JB 101 for short. It's a compact, skill-building, step-by-step, project-oriented class designed to give you the basic knowledge necessary to build a jewelry box in your own shop. You'll need some hardwood. I have a piece of 3/4 inch by 4 inch by 75-inch long piece of cherry that I think will do well for this. A piece of 1/4 inch plywood for the floor of the box, fabric to cover it, adhesive to mount it, and screws to screw it onto the box itself. I will need a piece of contrasting hardwood for the handle and plywood scrap for the 2 jigs that we'll need for this constructing the casework, and also some hinges. I tend to like the Brusa ones, they're the best quality. As for the tools, you'll need a table saw with a sled, a bandsaw or a saber saw, a thicknesser or a jack plane to thickness material down, a biscuit joiner, or a domino, or even a dowel. This would work as well. Some clamps, and a few other items that you will probably already have in your shop. I always do a detailed drawing like this before attempting any woodworking project. This allows me to figure out all the problems and dimensions first before I cut a board 3 times and discover that they're still too short. The project drawing is a downloadable PDF and can be printed from your computer and enlarged to the actual size by Office Max or Staples. Here's the top, side, front, and on the side view you have some of the different profile options, joinery options, a hinge, and also some of the other dimensions that you'll find necessary to be able to complete this box. There are basically 2 different sizes which I need to cut out. For the lids or for the front and back, I need 13 1/4. And for the sides, I need 2 pieces which are going to be 10 1/4 inches. This can be for one of the lids. I'm going to do one of the sides from here. Here we'll have a front, side, and the rest of it looks like that will work out very nicely. So now it's time to cut it off with the table saw and the sled, and that's what we'll do next. This is the material that I would like to use for my joint spacer block and also my cutting block. And the cutting block itself is going to be 3 inches, and also my joint spacer block, which is 7 3/4 inch. Now comes time to cut. So, these blocks are now done, and now I can cut the solid wood cherry to the proper length. In order to set it up, I first need to establish my point of reference, which will be a small block put here at the proper dimension of 13 1/4 inches. As I cut the pieces here, this is a long one, this 3-inch spacer block can get put in here to make the shorter 10 1/4 inches, so I'll be able to use the same stop for both. Okay, the pieces have been cut, and now it's time to mark them out for proper orientation. I also cut the spacer block here, which we'll be using for our interior joinery reference. Now I have 2 pieces which are obviously the sides, and these 4 pieces which are the lid, and there's also going to be a front and the back. I'm going to select the lid first because I see that when I approach the jewelry box, and I think that the grain orientation will be pretty important there. So in looking at the pieces here, I'm going to select a couple of pieces for the lid. I want to make sure that we have a consistent grain, but also something which is pretty important is the proper grain orientation. So if I draw a grain on here, this is where it goes here, and on this one, and I put a grain orientation here. I want to make sure that it has a consistent flow of grain pattern or the end grain pattern from one piece to the other. If I put it together like this, with the grain going the opposing direction, this is liable to warp with time. For the front and the back, I want to put these apart. These look fine. I can probably put this one on the left side, this one on the right side, and I have a small defect here or a small knot that I want to put on the inside and down where it won't be able to be seen. And the front or the front of the lid I can put right here. Now, I use a kind of a mark to specify which piece goes where. That's easy to reestablish where they belong. And that's done by doing a small triangular mark right here that always shows me which way the box is oriented, and it will be very difficult to mix them up. Let's look at all the joinery options for this project. The Fess tool, which is my favorite, is a high-end, very precise joining tool, which makes a joint by having a drill bit which wiggles from side to side. It is very well suited for something like this because, as you see with these collapsible points here, this allows me to locate the tool exactly where it needs to be from either side and plunging 2 dominoes, which will be very precise, very tight, and incredibly strong. You can see this one here. It's a very strong joint. The next tool that I would like to show you is the biscuit joiner. This is a Lamello, which is one of the original biscuit joiners that were made, and its ability to put different depths or different sizes of these small football-shaped pressed beech biscuits in. And what I find really advantageous about this tool is that I can locate it. You see I've clamped on a small fence to the side, and it's located exactly where it wants to be, so I can plunge it down and make a biscuit slot here, and also it will be able to make a biscuit slot in the opposing piece. These 3 biscuits, there's a number 20, a number 10, and a number 0. We'll be using the number 0. It also allows me to laterally adjust the piece so everything becomes flush and clean on the sides. The last joinery option which I'd like to show you is the dowel. Now I'm using 3/8 dowels here, and with this little jig which I've made, this allows me to position the jig right over the hole that I needed to drill it out. And if I've clamped this fairly securely, I'm able then to drill it out using this jig as a guide. Also, it will allow me to drill from the end as well and put the dowel right where I need it. That's all for now, so find the wood you're going to use, select your tools for the joinery, and we'll see you on the next segment of Hand Skills, where we'll get to glue up the jewelry box. Bye for now.